Hello jukebox friends, I am Arjan and this is my Rockola 1455D. So it's almost totally ready, but it's still not working that well because sometimes it skips records. And I found out that the cause for this is the pinbank, which I did not clean yet. So I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna share it with you guys. Okay, let's take a look. So let's take this thing apart. Remove this part by unscrewing the screws. Remove this part by unscrewing here 3 screws and over there 3 screws, and so on. In order to move this axle a little bit back, you have to remove this, but then we go to the back side. Here's the same thing. You have to loosen up those 2 screws so this one can move to this side. I disconnected the cables from the turntable and from the pinbank drum. Remove this one. And now we're gonna remove this black thing here by removing this bracket. So this is how my jukebox looks without this pinbank drum. On the other side, axle is sticking out, so I can push it a little bit back so nobody gets hurt. I now managed to pull the two sides a little bit apart and take this out. So I can take a look inside. Take a look inside this pinbank, and now you can see how it works. There's an electromagnet here. It pulls this pin. You see, this pin is, you can move it around. There's a little spring here to hold this. It presses the pin to the top, and on the top there's a collar here so it cannot go out, and there's a small ring here, and this ring slides over the surface here at the underside, and probably there is dirt all over the place because of the years use. So we're gonna take this out and clean it up. Let's see how we're gonna do it. Just discovered that those guys in the inside, the big ones, are group relays. That's what they call. They select a group of selector coils. Those are selector coils, also electromagnets. And a group will be selected by selecting the ground of those coils. So those are all ground pins, which is connected to the ground. For example, if this group is selected, all those pins are connected to the ground, and all the other pins are not connected to the ground. That's how this group is selected. So it doesn't matter where the wires go, just take all it off, and there's no following order, as long as the group is staying together, of course. This is what it looks like after pulling all those little connectors out. Some of them were soldered, but okay, lucky me, I have a soldering iron. So now it's all about this. So I have to take this out, and let's continue. After removing these things on the side, I was able to remove those units. So the cause of the trouble. Let's take them apart. If you look close, and we can see that there's a little marking each of the pins. The other side there's no marking, so we have to take care that it's the same side on top if we put it together again. Also in this little thing here, there's a gap here. The other side there's no gap, so you should not turn it around. Maybe there's sharp edges on this side and a smooth edge on the other side. So it's, I think, quite important to put it together again later in the same way. So, and how to put it together? Well, I looked it up on the internet and I just have an idea how to do that, but let's see later in this video. If you are taking apart these parts, then we have to remove those rings, but they are also on the inside, so it's better to remove them on the inside because if you cause scratches because of removal, then at least you don't see it if they are on the inside, of course. So this is at least the way I do it. And the thing is totally falling apart. So careful not to lose anything. After taking all apart, I soak the smaller parts in oven cleaner, and then I rinse them well with water, of course. And the plates I just put in the dishwasher. So this is going to the next step. Roughen up the area a little bit, the area where the sliding takes place. So in the middle here, with some waterproof 1200 sandpaper. The important thing is here that this little thing, this little shiny metal part, will slide well over this area. So what can we do? Some say you don't have to do anything and just leave the surface like it is and clean it up. Some say you have to use oil, but if you use oil, you probably have to do it again in a year or so. And most of them, people I see on the internet, say you have to use graphite spray. So I will spray it with graphite spray in this area. Therefore I sanded it a little with very fine sandpaper, 1200. And this is the spray I will spray on it. It is, well, from Contact Chemie, anyway, graphite. This is a dry spray, dry graphite spray, which will provide a sliding area. After cleaning these parts in the dishwasher and roughen up the surface a little bit with sandpaper 1200 and cleaning it afterwards with surface cleaner like alcohol, I'll spray it now with graphite spray. I think that's all. Well, almost. Anyway, this is the way it should be. So now the fun begins. We have to reassemble those two parts with the pins in between. Okay, in order to be able to reassemble it, you have to put in all the pins. Not only to put them in, but also keep the spring depressed on all the pins at the same time. So how to do it? Well, what I did is I took an old telephone wire and took out the wires and cut it in small pieces. So this is how to do it. Take the pin, the part you want to do, put it in the right place. Slide a piece of isolation on the back side and press together so the spring is pressed as well. Be careful, there's a marking on this one. It should be on the top. And well, you only have to do this like 200 times. After putting the pins in, it just looks like this. All the pins are in, more or less aligned. You can do a better alignment if you have those plastic parts. You cut them with a knife, nice and straight. The metal parts here should be on top of it with the smooth edge on the top. So all of them are the same way oriented. This row it's mirrored and this the other way. You can see it is a small notch, and well, you have to take care that it's not flipped over. So now all the pins are fixed and I can put the top side on. I do it like this instead of like this because it's just easier. I did try some more of them, so I know in the meantime how it works. There you are. Okay. By the way, what I didn't mention is where this comes from. These are parts of isolation of an old telephone wire. You have to find something which slides on the back side of the pin, and it should not be too easy to slide it on. Otherwise there's no friction and it just flips off again and then your pin shoots away. So let's continue assembling the whole thing. I now put back the big drum on the table and we'll reassemble it. It doesn't look too difficult. Anyway, we have to start with this thing which comes here on this cap. Then you know how to start. Just put the units in. Well, what can I say? Easy. All of them are back in again. What I do now is I make bundles of these wires. Each ground coil has one bunch of wires together, so it's easier to put them through this square hole and well, just to make it easier to assemble, right? On the housing of the pin bank there's a metal stud here. This one should be fixed. It is, well, fixed here, but mine is a little bit loose. So what I do is just hit it with a hammer, like so. See if I can make it a little bit fixed. There you are. Doesn't help much, but okay. I just hit it several times more and now it's totally fixed. Of course you have to take care not to hit the selector coil, because then you have a problem. It is best to first do those clips on one side of the drum, the downside, then do the top side. And on the top side there's a small earth clip. You see through the hole there. You can easily misalign that one, and then after assembly you find out that you forgot that one. So align that one and then just continue. I created a little hook from a wire to fetch the groups of wires through the hole. You see? That's kind of easy. Okay, I'll do so. Once you have put all of those little wires on the downside, you have to start with the top side. On the top side there are, well, it's the same, but you have to take care. This metal part has to stick through this hole, right? But don't forget there's also another metal part, which is the back side, which also sticks through a hole, which you don't see. Anyway, I can show you a spot where you can more or less see it. It's over there. You barely see there on that spot underneath the contacts. You see a part of the back side. There you can see that it's aligned well, but okay. If it's not aligned, you just push a little bit to the back side with a plastic stick, and then sometimes when you're lucky it snaps into place. Anyway, you have to struggle a little bit to do that. I succeeded to get this pin bank thing together again, to reassemble it. So I'm quite happy. Now it's time to look if it's working or not. So I connected the wire to the jukebox, take care that the motor's still off, and then one by one press these buttons, right? So believe me, the pins are moving, so I'm happy. Maybe I should have done this before I took this thing apart, because if one of the coils is not functioning, well, then the time to exchange this, of course. Anyway, I will put this back in the jukebox, and well, this is not part of the film because you know how. And I want to thank you for joining me on my journey of this first time ever, and I hope also last time ever, to clean this thing. Thank you. Bye bye.